All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to our North Carolina E-Rate Consultants Town Hall. Go to the next slide. This is what we're going to go over in this session. This is intended to be participatory, so please chime in when you have a question, a comment, a concern, anything at all. Just bring it right up. All right. Relax about the camera, Janine. It just looks like there's the camera's pointing straight up, but that's all right. Don't worry about it. Next slide. So I'm Mike Ramsey. I am the Director of School Connectivity. Roxy Miller is the E-Rate team lead. You see her on camera. Sue Boris joined us earlier this year. Is one of the E-Rate coordinators. Adam Benjamin will be joining us next week officially, but I see he's on the call, so great. And we've got one more position that we're trying to fill, so more details on that as we get it. So I just want to, before I turn it over to the ladies to kind of drive, I wanted to set the tone for what the state E-Rate coordinator services are and what our responsibilities are. You know, we have a responsibility to USAC as the state E-Rate coordinator. They get us involved when they see things, notify us. We try to help be the liaison between USAC and the public schools of North Carolina. We also have a responsibility to the PSUs to kind of provide that oversight, make sure everybody's in sync, they're good with their filing windows, deadlines, etc. So if you see us reaching out to them, just know that we're trying to get them up on the same, all on the same page. So we'll be communicating with them. What you guys as E-Rate consultants can expect from us: open communication to assist you in the DPI programs, like the Category 2 stuff, share common best practices, and you have all the access to the DPI E-Rate materials that we provide. We don't hide our stuff behind a password-protected website or anything. It's all there. Really important, though, you are the PSU's E-Rate subject matter expert. You know what's going on. If they're your client, we respect that. We do not want to get into your business at all. We're here to help and support you in being effective with E-Rate. There's a lot of the schools that really need a lot of hand-holding, and we are thankful that you are on the job because we can't do them all. So know that we're always trying to be in that mindset that you are, you're part of the team. All right, next slide. All right, I'm going to turn this over to, I think, Roxy.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to talk about is the state ballot file for this year. We will be sending in a ballot file for funding year 22. We will send numbers to schools in December for them to update their admin window. They, of course, then can send those to you since you update their profiles. We are still in talks with USAC and the FCC about what to do about NFLP numbers, because those numbers aren't being collected due to the fact that the USDA has given everyone free and reduced lunches again this year. So, you know, those numbers can be used for 2 years, and we used them in 2019 and 2020, but we need new numbers for this year, but it's going to be a little strange because everybody's going to be right at the 100% mark. However, enrollments have changed, and we need to update those numbers. So we're talking with the FCC about how best to go about that and which numbers should we use and report. So please, watch emails for those. We send those out to your schools, and they should share with you. So keep asking, and you of course can ask us, and we'll say we sent them out on this date. So it's a sticky wicket, but we need the correct numbers in there, especially for budgeting purposes. The budget numbers were set last year, but of course they can be reset if you have a growth in your enrollments. So that's going to be interesting to see how we can update those numbers. We don't know the admin window dates yet; those haven't been announced. Hopefully, it'll open soon. I know ECF has put things kind of all in a flurry at USAC, so hopefully we'll have those dates to announce. Please don't start updating anything until the admin window opens, because they reset everything and they kind of flush their system, and any changes you make don't necessarily roll over when they've quote-unquote flushed their system. Please don't use numbers other than what we send in the SVF, because we can't verify those numbers, okay? And what I mean by verify is schools make reports to Raleigh in terms of their monthly enrollments, and if they're collecting lunch numbers, their lunch numbers as well. We at DPI go to, I'll call it Raleigh, for what the schools send up for their enrollments. We put that on our state valid file, okay? So in other words, it's exactly what came out of Power School that they send to Raleigh for each month, and we pull down on the state valid file the October numbers. Okay, so it'll be this month's numbers, and we'll get them in November once they're all verified, and that's what goes on the state valid file. So those go in December to the state valid file to USAC. So if we say a school has 526 kids based on the numbers they sent to Raleigh in October, and then a different number gets put in there, we can't verify and say, oh, they have 676 kids, because we only will say what's on the state valid file. Those are the only numbers that we can say for sure that that's what that school has. We stick to what's on the valid file, okay? So please only use those numbers. All right. Alternate data not only affects your application, but it affects the state's internet applications as well. So it really creates more of a problem than you could imagine if you put in different numbers than what's on the state valid file, because we have millions of dollars on the internet apps wrapped up into these numbers on the state valid file as well as the discounts. So be very, very careful. If you could please just stick to the state valid file, that helps not only our applications, but your applications as well. The free and reduced lunch numbers Janine is asking, we don't know what they're going to be yet. So we're waiting on the FCC to say what numbers we should use or can use. And we're waiting on DPI to tell us what they're collecting as well, if anything. So right now, all the NSLP numbers are still up in the air. It's just a curious thing, exactly how this is all going to work out with everybody getting the free lunch for another year for our E-rate purposes. However, when you think about the discounts, DPI covers that non-discount percentage. So if we weren't, I could see where there'd be an even bigger concern as to if your discount was 40% or 80%. We cover it no matter if it is 40 or 80, so you're not spending anything out of pocket. So we're going to be very cautious with the numbers that we do put in so that we don't create something that's going to come back and bite anybody later on. So let's just hold tight and see what the FCC is going to allow us to do with those numbers. Okay, next, student enrollments. Another thing that I want you to be very, very careful with and stick to the October numbers from the state valid file that we send out in December to the schools to be put into the profiles. Also, CEP base years, that was new in funding year 21 in the profiles. If you are managing schools that have CEP, the Community Eligibility Provision for lunches, it asks what the CEP base year was. So if you did not update that, we need to get that updated, and it hopefully will be on our valid file. And I do know that the base years start over, I think, every 4 or 5 years. So we need to make sure we get the base years updated in your profiles as well. Also, I want you to be very careful with new schools and their enrollments and discounts. Be very, very careful with your new charter schools. If they are saying they're going to enroll 800 kids, but when push comes to shove and they only enroll 320, but you've set their budget at 800, then we could have a serious problem, because with the new budget rules, they could very easily come back in year 2 and make them pay that money back, whereas in the past they have not done that before, okay? So do not stretch their budget and have them spending more than they're ever going to see an enrollment for, okay? So be on the cautious, safe side for new school enrollments, and also take take the default discount, because we can't prove that they're going to be 40 or 60% because we're not collecting numbers. So take that default, because we're paying the matching discount. So go ahead and take that default 20% and let us cover that other 80%. So let's be very conservative with those numbers. The Cat 2 budget tool, if you have not played with that, I'm going to go to it and show you the Cat 2 budget tool and how easy it is to determine the budget for your schools. We do have to update enrollment numbers for your schools every year, but the Cat 2 budget numbers do not. Now, this is a big change from what you're used to, because those are 2 separate numbers to be entered. So unless you're asking for the Cat 2 budget numbers to be reset based on a large change in student enrollment, you don't have to change those Cat 2 budget numbers for 5 years. So if your budget numbers were set last year, meaning you applied for Category 2 budget and you applied for funding for Category 2, you don't have to change those numbers, okay? And as a matter of fact, they don't want you to. It was set. But if you went from 30,000 kids to 32,000 kids, you definitely want to apply for a budget reset. And there's supposed to be a tool put into the system where you apply to have that budget number reset. I haven't seen it yet, but it's supposed to be put into the system. So the Category 2 budget tool is on the USAC site. And let's hope my computer plays nice this afternoon. And this is what it looks like. It's a little bit different from what you've been used to seeing, but the easiest way to use this tool is to come over here to the far right, put in the billed entity number of your school or your school district, and it's going to simply tell you what the remaining budget is. Would anybody like to put one in the chat, and I will pull up one of your schools that doesn't mind it being shown? I would use mine, but I don't have a Category 2 budget. It's Category 2 budget number. Just pick this one right here and see if they have a budget. Okay, well, this is one of Wynn's schools. He's in New York. So, yeah. So this one tells us that it has 71 students. Your budget is set at 167. Oh, Janine gave me one. I'll pop this one up in just a minute. And they have the floor of $25,000 for their budget. So they still have $25,000 available. All right, here's one. Thank you, Janine, for being my guinea pig. So pop that number in, buy it. Oh, goodness gracious. 26910. Doesn't want to up.
You need to hit the 1003.
26910. Okay, apply. Well, it doesn't want to give it to me. Is that the right number, Janine? Oh, I don't want that one on there. This is the one I want. And it won't let me apply it. 126.910. Okay.
You keep hit apply. Don't hit the button. Hit that.
126.910.
Don't try this at home, folks. We're professionals.
Apply. There we go. Okay. Why does it have so many, Janine? 26910. I am a professional. I work in this thing all the time. Oh, good gracious alive. Look, everybody's rolling their eyes. 26910. Apply. It doesn't give me a green button to apply. Click.
Now click apply.
Apply. There we go. Thank you. All right, so 3335, 167 each, 556,945. This is how much has been budgeted out and how much is still available for this next 4 years. And y'all can go home and play with those crazy little numbers. But that's the tool. And this is their open data set of tools. There's the consultant. Here she is. Tells you it's a school district. Tells you the billed entity number. That's the easy way to look at it. This is not going to move for the next 4 years. All right. Next thing, Cat2 workflow. Just so you'll know, in case you're new, how our Cat2 workflow works. And some of you are doing this work for your constituents. The first thing is for them to determine their statement of work and their budgets. So that budget tool can be used to determine how much they have left and how much they need. Then the quote requests have to go out using our mini bid. Our mini bid has not changed from last year, and we are doing mini bid training. It's on our website. You guys are welcome to sit in on it if you want to. Here's the same mini bid template. We are trying to talk our folks, our vendors, into cutting down on the amount of emails that have to go out. by coming up with one generic email that goes out for everything and everybody. But regardless, you guys need to hear this. This entire list gets emailed. The vendors themselves have to go through what your request is, which is listed here on the description sheet, and determine what, if anything, they can or will bid on. And we talked to them this morning about no bids versus the quotes. They were told to please respond, whether they can bid, plan on bidding, are going to send a quote, that sort of thing. Okay? Don't just leave you guys sitting, don't just leave the applicants sitting, waiting and wondering if you're going to bother quoting. And if they can't meet the 14-day deadline, then at least send a, hey, I'm going to respond, I need a couple more days. We also plan on talking to our applicants, and you can push this on your end as well. Stop waiting till the bitter end. These vendors can't respond in 2 or 3 days. When you wait till 3 days before the window closes and decide you want to order access points. Well, you should know you're going to order access points in January, not March. So please, please start hitting up the guys you work with and say, come on, let's start planning this now. Let's not wait till March before you decide you're going to order some Cat 2 equipment. Okay? All right. So, mini bid hasn't changed. There's the project description. The valuation criteria is there. And here are still some copies of the mini bid based on how many types of different products. And everybody gets a copy, because that's the one thing when we're in audits and certain types of reviews that the reviewers are asking is, did everybody get a chance to bid? Okay, that's a big one. Did everybody get a chance to bid? So we have a question in the chat that says, can you elaborate on the generic email? I have a generic email address set up for each of my applicants. So yeah, one thing we run into is you can see here on our vendor emails how a lot of them go to a certain person, or sometimes if we have a company that is working with multiple OEMs, there's 4 or 5 different people, depending. This one may be in charge of access points, this one's in charge of switches, this one's in charge of UPSs. So we're trying to say maybe we need, like this one's inside sales, something like that, and it just goes to one inbox, and then the people back at the company divvy out the emails, and whoever's taking care of access points would take care of this one, so forth, and this. And we don't have all these different emails. Plus, I'm not changing. This one says orders at, sales at. I'm not constantly changing when Heather leaves or Jeff leaves or Julie leaves. We're not having to change these emails every time we turn around. Okay? Yes, that's more on the vendor side, not the applicant side. Yes, you're correct. It just helps us, as well as helps the applicants, not have to send so many emails. Or you guys, if you're doing it for your applicants as well. All right, so back to the PowerPoint. All right, so they're going to do the quote request. You're going to do the mini bid. The winner of the mini bid gets a letter of intent. If there is one vendor who's winning multiple areas, one letter of intent would work. You don't have to send multiple. Let's say it's Encore, but they're winning 2 or 3 different things. You can send one letter of intent from the applicant, just denoting the different areas that they won for, okay? Then the vendor is supposed to respond with the final quote that has the contract number on it, and we've showed them where the contract numbers are. And then we've told them that the item 21s are required. And then we've offered to show them how to do an item 21. And then, of course, finally, you guys will file the 471s. So that's kind of how we've explained that how the Cat 2 workflow works. Any questions on that before we talk about records retention? Will there be an updated contract list? Yes, there is one now. It is on our website, and I keep it updated every time we make a change. It is under the Category 2 Funding Year 22. It's the second document, and you can check the dates. There'll always be the last revised date, and I'll open that for you. It to open, and I'll show you the numbers that you're looking for. Add this over. Make sure I get the right one. Yep, here it is. So the contract numbers you guys are looking for is in column F. And those are our contract numbers, and that's what you should see on the quotes from the vendors. I think we're up to 86 now. Every time we bring on a new reseller and take off one, we bring in a new contract number. The ones in E are the contract IDs that EPC automatically assigns. So what you're looking for is the contract number. So the OEMs over here on A, and then the third party, these are the resellers that you're going to get your quotes from, are in C. And then the contract numbers you'll see are in F. Okay? And this is on our website. All right. And back to our presentation. Ms. Sue?
Hey, so records retention, as I'm sure you're all aware, E-rate requires everything 10 years. So based on the last action date of that FRN. Filed your 471, you filed the, the 46, if there's any 500s, keep those records. What is included, every form filed associated with the FRN, all the RFPs. We've got the mini bids, obviously, so you would be keeping those. The matrices are within the mini bid. If, however, you go outside of that, you need to keep all of those records for your clients. Either sending them to them as they're done or bundling them and sending them at the end of the year. It's based on whatever your contract requirements are. All the quote information, winners and losers. Obviously, everything having to do with reviews and audits. And if there was any communications between you and potential vendors, between bidders, yourselves, your schools, anything that a phone conversation that you may have had, text messaging or whatnot, should be documented as well and stored for these files. Obviously, there are reviews that can come by 8 years later, and your clients may have severed ties with you. They may have changed consultants from previous consultants, may have gone from doing it themselves to doing it with you, or vice versa. They need all this data. USAC is not really going to care that they have a consultant. They're going to really, rely on you. So please just help them, keep that data. We've been helping folks read through some of the data that they've had to hold on to, they've had to pull back out and help them determine, yep, that's associated with that FRN. Nope, that's not associated with that FRN. We appreciate it. They appreciate it. They need it. And that pretty much is it. As far as like updates and questions, we just wanted to give you some information about ECF. They have yet to have Wave 2. We had heard it was coming, but, until we see it, it's not there. So Wave 2 is not hit yet. We have seen a big win today in North Carolina. One of our schools had applied for an appeal to include the taxes on their $400 devices, and they got word today that their appeal was accepted. So that's good news to know that they are reviewing those appeals as well. Basically, I guess we could open the floor for any additional questions you might have. Just a reminder, I'm sorry, ECF window closes tomorrow.
Also, PRC update?
Oh, PRC updates. That's correct. Thank you. I had it written down. Change paper. First wave of PRC 73 was released recently. They're still working on PRC 36. But we are actively staying on top of that to make sure as the schools are funded that we are processing the allotments to the next department. Unfortunately, the buck doesn't stop with us. We, kick the ball out there and hope that somebody else does pick it up, but we do follow up with it to make sure.
So I am going to unmute everyone so that you can feel free to ask any questions that you have.
That's Roxy. That's Roxy. She was your coworker? No. Well, I've known her. That would be my boss.
No.
Okay, Adam, we can hear you.
So you need the invoice.
I guess we need to mute Adam.
Yeah, I can't find Adam. Let me
Sorry.
To your account.
There you go.
Okay, you got it. It's okay. So, are there any questions anyone would like to ask?
I started filing them. They opened it up and allowed you to start doing that 2 weeks ago. None of those have been paid yet. So it takes at least 2 weeks to be answered. I'm guessing between 2 weeks and 30 days.
I think John's on a phone call.
Okay, I'll mute John. Okay, got him muted. Anyone else?
Roxy, this is Cindy. The ECF funding for Wave 2 is going out now. It started since you started your webinar.
That's
Hot
what
diggity dog.
Yep, that's what John just put in the chat. Was it was just coming out now, so we can all stand up and do the gigi dance. Cause yay!
Wait. That wasn't in the job requirement when I started here. That I was doing EDT dances.
Bless, Far Technologies needs to talk. Yes, that's the other duties as required.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I was going to tell John to thank you for that, too, because it's coming out now. So, yes, that's exciting. I hope it's big. I got a lot of people going, where's my money?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, other questions or comments? Anything that you see that we could do to help you do your job any easier?
This is Cindy again, and I'd just like to say thank you for being available.
You're welcome. And thank you.
Absolutely. Our kids wouldn't get all the money without your help.
Exactly.
All right, well, if there's nobody else, no other questions or anything like that, have a great day. Have a great E-rate season. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you, and we'll make sure we get all the meeting notes and everything out to you here very shortly.
Yes. Thank you
everybody.
for joining us. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.